good to go.
Now the Kufnun Beis, Amud Beis. Seven lines from the wide lines. Omar Rav Mori, Asidim Tzadikim, the have Afro. 152b, 7 lines from the wide lines, from the top of the wide lines. Count down 7 lines. Omar Rav Mori, Asidim Tzadikim, the have Afro. Tzadikim in the future will be dust, turn into dust in the graves. The earth will return to the ground the way it was. There were these diggers that were digging in the ground, the Rav Nachman. And they suddenly came up, they heard a groan of Rabbi Yoshia. They got very scared. Also, Rav Nachman, Nocha ben Gavro. There's a man, a dead man that just groaned in his grave. Also, he came, or he barked at them, or he gave them a little scare, like go away, like he screamed at them. So, Garbuhu, yeah, Rashi says Garbuhu according to the Bach. He gave them a scream, like, "Don't dig me over here. I'm here. Leave me alone." So also, Rav Nachman came, Amalei man mihu mar, who is the master lying here? Amalei. So the dead man told him, "Ano achoy bar Yoshia." I'm achoy bar Yoshia. He didn't say Rav. He said his name. Amalei v'lav Amar Rav Mori Asidi Tzadika de Hava Afra. Didn't Rav Mori say that in the future, that's what we just quoted that saying, the tzaddikim will turn into dust? So how are you not dust? Amalei, umani Mari deleyadanalei. Who is this Mari? I don't know who he is. I'm saying, you're quoting Rav Mari. I don't even know. I have to listen to Rav Mari. Never heard of him. Oh, Leo. Bokel O. Leo. So he says to him, Amalei Baal Kruksiv. Okay, forget Rav Mari. There's a pasuk that you have to keep. So how's it possible? The pasuk says, "V'yoshev ha'ofer ala aretz k'shehaya." They will return to the dust like they were. Omalei de'akich koheles le'akich mishlei. Maybe you learned koheles, very nice. You quoted a nice pasuk, but you obviously didn't learn mishlei. Ichsiv, because in mishlei it says v'rekev atzomo is kino. And the rotting of bones is jealousy. Whoever is jealous of others and competes with others, his friend, his bones rot. So the pasuk in Koheles has to be read in tandem together with the pasuk in Mishlei. It's true that they will turn back into dust, but who? Only those whose bones must rot. Those who are jealous. So he's telling him, I wasn't jealous. I'm not necessarily. I don't necessarily have to turn to dust. Goshasha, he felt him. Chazid the ispe mashosha, and he saw that he was actually real. Amalei leikum mar legavei de beisa. So why don't you just stand up? You're talking, and you're real, and you feel, and why don't you just stand up and go to your home? He says, "Oh no." Now you're already revealing to me that you don't even read Nevi'im. You will know that I am Hashem. When I open up your graves, the next part of the pasuk says, and I will then lift you up out of your caves. Which means, he's telling him, that's not my, that's not my right. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I have to wait till HaKadosh Baruch Hu will lift me up. We have no reshus, Rashi says, to come up. So the Gemara says, okay. But there's a pasuk in the Torah of Nachman told him. says, you are dust, you are earth, and you'll return to earth, meaning you'll become one again with the earth. You'll become earth again. So how do you deal with that one? That's going to be one moment before Tchias HaMesim to be mekayim that pasuk for everybody. So what it looks like from this Gemara is that everyone, even those who are not jealous and their bodies do not rot, will turn into dust for one moment before Tchias HaMesim. There was this tzeduki, or this mina, this heretic. The Torah Biavo, you say that the neshamas of the tzaddikim are hidden under the kisei hakovod. So uvatam yoheich aske the Shmuel ben Gida. So how Baal Oiv is a person who uses witchcraft talks to the bones. He's able to speak to the dead. How was he able? This Baal Oiv. How is he able to bring up Shmuel's soul and speak to him? In the story with Shaul, he went to a witch. This witch went and she brought Shmuel's to speak to them through this witchcraft. If the neshamas are, they're not here. If you go to the grave and the neshama is around there, so maybe you can use some black magic, some witchcraft, which is also rather you get killed for that, but you could do it. But if the neshama goes all the way up to Achas Kisei HaKavod, how are you getting there? The witchcraft is not going to get. That story with Shaul was within 12 months of Shmuel's Petira, after he was passed. Titania, Kol Yud Beis Chedesh Gufi Kaim V'Nishmas Oilav Yeredus. Is the sun in your way? Is the sun shining in?
No, you're good.
Okay. If it comes, tell me. The first 12 months, a person's guf is kayam, and his neshama oilav yeredus. His neshama goes up and down from the kever. La'achar yud beis chedesh haguf batel, v'nishmas oilav. After 12 months, things change. The body is not around anymore. There's nothing left of it. I guess that's a normal person. V'nishmas oilav. And the neshama now has nothing to try to connect to, and it rises all the way tachas kisei hakovod. The shuvein yeredes, and it doesn't come down anymore. Amar Rabbi Yehuda b'rei Rav Shmuel bar Shila, b'shmei de Rav. Rabbi Yehuda b'rei Rav Shmuel, the son of Shila, said in the name of Rav, Mehespeidu shalodem nikirim ben ha'olam habahu. From the eulogies of man, it's discernible you can tell if he's a ben olam haba in love or not. Meaning, if a person was a good man, a kosher man, upstanding individual, everybody will cry. They'll cry and they'll shed tears and they'll speak about his praises. So you see that, you know he's on the way to olam haba. So the Gemara says, "Eini, is that so?" V'ha'amar le Rav Shmuel bar Shila, Achim behespeda, the Hosam Ka'imna. Rav himself told Rav Shmuel bar Shila, make sure that you really work hard on my hesped. Make sure everybody gets really warmed up and make it a tear-jerking hesped so that people have rachmanut and get all their mercy out and let them cry. You know why? Because I'll be there. And I'll listen. And I'll be there watching how you'll get warmed up. So the Gemara's kasha is, you see, the Rav held that it's not so simple to get everybody to cry. Now, Rav was a great man, Rashi says. Gav Rabbo, Ben Olam Abohu. He was the Gadol Ador. He's the greatest man alive in his days. He knew that. He knew he was going to Elam Haba. So therefore he knew, now if it's true that Rav once said beforehand, anybody who's going to Elam Haba, people will cry. People cry and then you know they're going to Elam Haba. So what's he all nervous about his husband? By the way, he's not just looking for honor here. He understood that was his avodah, that people have to mourn him and cry so that they do teshuvah. But the question of the Gemara is, people will for sure cry. He should have known that people will cry because he's on the way to Olam Haba. Automatically, the fact that a person's going to Olam Haba, that itself will invoke emotions, emotional feelings. That's what the Gemara said before in the name of Rav. So why does he have to worry and make sure that his Talmud of Shmuel Bar Shila gives a really warm hesped? So the Gemara says, which means, even there's no such a thing. You have to have a warm hesped. People are not just going to start crying because he's a great person. Because he's old, Rashi says. However, a very pious person, if you have a warm hesped, then together with the fact that he is kosher and people know that, and there's a warm hesped, people will cry. So therefore, but if not. So Rav was saying, look, I know I'm a ben Olam Haba, and I know that together with a warm hesped, a warm eulogy, people will cry. So make sure you work hard on my hesped. I'll be there. I'll be listening. Okay? Man ochim espeidom. So Abaye said to Rabbi, like the master, Rabbi is not Rava, Rabbi was his Rebbe. He said, like you, for example, the master, that the whole Pumpedisoi does not like you. They hate you. Rashi says because he gave them a lot of musar and they were very type of willy, shrewd, trickery type of people. So they didn't like that he called their number. And so he said, who's going to give you a hesped? Omalei, mistayo at Rabbi Bar Chanon. I'm not sure what mistayo means. I think it means it's enough. Or if anybody has the art scroll and they're following, tell me what they say for that word. I think what he's saying is it's enough that you and Rabbi Bar Chanon give a hesped, and that will be good. If anybody has it, they could let me know. Rabbi Loza asked from Rav, who is a ben Olam Haba? There's a pasuk. The pasuk is a pasuk in Yeshayahu Hanavi, which says the words behind you, meaning behind the bed of a person when he dies. If he hears people saying, this is the way that this man lived his life, and everybody should follow behind him, then if you hear that behind your own bed, says Yeshaya, you're listening to your own husband, and you hear that being said behind your bed, then you're good. You should know you're going to Elam Haba. So that's how you know if a person's going to Elam Haba. Chanina gives you a little bit of a chance while you're alive to know if you're going to Elam Haba. You don't have to wait till after you die. He says, if your rabbi is pleased with you from what they hear about you and what they see, and they have nachat from you, Yiddish nachas, that is a sign that you're going to Elam Haba. Then the Gemara quotes a pasuk in Kohelet that says, this is the pasuk that Shlomo HaMelech we mentioned before, that the person becomes old and all his desires go away and his body starts waning. When in the market all the Sleiftim, the eulogizers, are walking around. Meaning, B'nei Galilo Amri asay dvarim lifnei mitoscho. B'nei Yehuda Amri asay dvarim le'acha mitoscho. People in Galil said, just 1 second. That they will surround him. I don't know what it has to do exactly with this pasuk, but they're saying the people in Galil said, do things in front of your bed. What does that mean? Let them say hespedim, do things that they will say those things over in front of your bed. And the Bnei Yehuda said, do things while you're alive that they will speak about behind your bed. There's no machlokes. Not different things. It's just a shaila of where they gave the hesped. In Galil, the sapdonim, the savevu hashbeshuk hasoiftim. Maybe that's what it means. They surrounded him by the behind, and in front. And in Yehuda, it was behind the bed. So here the Torah is telling you to think about your hesped. I'm humble. I don't want to do things that. No, do it. They'll speak about it. They'll say it by your hesped. It will be a lot of geschmack covered. Nah, my hesped, I'm not into covered. Here the Gemara says, yes, you are. So do things that you will like that they say over by your hesped. This is, in a way, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but this, in a way, is b'chol levavcha. What's b'chol levavcha? Why doesn't it say b'chol libecha, Lior? Libecha is your heart, one heart. Levavcha is two. Livavecha. So the Gemara says, your yetzer hara and yetzer tov. You have to use your yetzer hara. This is an example. How do you use your yetzer hara for the good? You go shalol l'shma. You say, you know what? I'm going to have a nice levaya. I'm trying to arrange a really nice levaya. So how do you arrange a nice levaya? You start ordering flowers now? Nobody cares about the flowers. Nobody's going to remember them. And they're going to go, hopefully, they're not going to last if you order them now, by the time we die. We have many years, but Bezat Hashem. So what you do is, you start doing acts of chesed, acts of Torah, acts of Yiras Shamayim. Oh, tefillah, tzedakah, ma'asim tovim, Torah. The main thing. Then you're going to have a beautiful hesped. People are going to be crying. And the children and the families, they're going to be speaking about, what do you mean? I'm using my kavod. I'm using my yetzer hara now. I'm trying to get myself a good hesped. Yeah, use the yetzer hara. B'toch shelo lishma, ba lishma. I don't know if that's pshat. That's my little pshat. Maybe there's something more lishma about this also. Maybe because that way people will do teshuvah. So you should try to have a good hesped so that your children do teshuvah. Because they're going to remember that hesped. They're going to remember you, their father, their guiding light, in the way that they heard about him in the last time. So therefore, do things now, because that's your last chance to be mechanech them. So that's more like lishma. Not shaloi lishma, it's another pshat. I don't know pshat. Perhaps one of the two or both. I missed the air conditioning. But I thank Hashem for the warmth. Okay. Sitting over here, you see a pool here? No. Okay. Rabbi Eliezer said in Pirkei Avot, very famous Mishnah, person should do teshuvah one day before he dies. The day before he dies. Nobody knows what day that is. If he knew what day he would die, he would know that the day before he has to do teshuvah. By the way, it doesn't say you should do teshuvah on the day that you die. right? Because you don't know when. Maybe it'll be by breakfast. See, it's too late. You have to do it the day before. So they said, we don't know the day before. Okay, all the more so do Teshuvah today, because it might be tomorrow. And then the person will find that all his life was b'teshuvah. And Shlomo HaMelech also said in his wisdom, at all times you and the oil, at all times your clothing should be white, pristine white, and the oil on your head should not be lacking. What does that refer to? Your neshama tehora unikia, your pure and clean neshama. That's begadecha levanim. Okay. A mashal to a king that invited his servants to a suda. We had a similar one a few days ago. But he didn't tell them when. The smart ones, they adorned themselves, they got themselves ready, and they sat by the entrance of the king's home. They said, is anything ever missing in the house of the king? Everything is always ready. So who knows when they'll call us suddenly. And they'll just suddenly knock on the door and come right now. So we have to come properly dressed. So therefore we better get dressed early and wait for whenever it happens. They had tipshim, but the foolish people, they came before him when they were dirty. They're like, oh, you're right. Sorry. Thank you. I skipped. Thank you. The tipshin, they went to their work. They said, what do you mean there's a Suda? Very nice. He invited his slaves. Okay, we're the slaves. We're going back to our work for the king. Whenever he calls us, then we'll get ready. Sure, we'll take some time. Why? Who can prepare a Suda without exerting some effort? You got to work a little bit. It will take some time. And suddenly, the king called his servants. The smart ones came in all well dressed, down to the nines. But the tipshim, the fools, they came in dirty. He's so happy to greet it. The koas likras tipshim. He was so upset to see them. Those who are dressed and ready for the Suda, let them sit down and eat and drink. Those who didn't get dressed, yamdu v'yiru, let them stand and watch. Same thing in the Olam Haba Boisai. People that say we have a lot of time till we die. Suddenly it happens. They're not ready. Kadosh Baruch Hu said, let the tzaddikim eat because they're ready. And the Rishoyim should stand up and watch. Chasnu sherameir mishum rameir omar. Chatno is either the father-in-law or the son-in-law. Son-in-law. He said in the name of Rameir, Afei nirin kimishamshin. It's not good enough. Because they're not going to be embarrassed enough because it looks like they're serving the tzaddikim. So they're also part of the Suda. That's not enough of a punishment. Everyone sits down. These people will eat and these people will go hungry. And that's a busha, that's a shame. And these will drink, these will be thirsty. Shenemar lochein. Hashem swears, Koyamar Hashem, so says Hashem, Hine avdi yoichlu, ve'atem terovu. Behold, look, my servants are eating, and you are starving. Hine avdi yishtu, ve'atem titzma'u. They're drinking, and you are thirsty. The end of that pasuk, by the way, is they are happy. Yismach v'atem tevoishu. And then the next pasuk says, "Hine avdi yaroinu mituv leiv." They will sing from glad hearts. V'atem titzaku mika'ev leiv, and you will be screaming from pained hearts. Tovaracha b'choleis yu v'gadecha levonim elu tzitzis v'shemen aroishcha. Before the Davaracha, I know a Rabbi, they made a program for the Talmidim. He said, you get pizza. Whoever does it gets pizza. Pizza party. After they did it, the 8th graders, whatever it was, he ordered the pizza. And he made the other part of the class sit there and watch how these boys ate pizza. So he wanted them to join for the next cycle. I think he got it from this Gemara here. I'm not sure if that's the right way to go. In Gehenna and Gan Eden, Hashem knows what He's doing, but ask your LOR. Okay. Another pshat in the pasuk is, at all times, Daniel Shalom Aleichem. I never see you. You mamish make me so happy. Great to see you, mamish. Thank you for coming. It's a big zchut. I never see who's on the thing because I'm facing the camera. Now I'm on a computer, so I get to see you. Anyways, at all times, your clothing shall be white. Elu tzitzit. These are the tzitzit. Because the beggar is white. And the oil should never be lacking. From your head, Elu tefillin, these are tefillin, Rashi says, because they have the name of Hashem. Toiv Shem, Mishem and Toiv. A good name, the name of Hashem is greater than oil. The oil here means the name of Hashem should be on your head. Like it says, Vera'u kol amei ha'aretz ki Shem Hashem nikra alecha. V'yara'u mimeka, and Rabbi Eliezer HaGadol says, those are tefillin sheberosh on your head. Hadran aloch shoyel. Let it come back to us. Bezrat Hashem. It's very happy. It's getting a little sad here. Because we are now starting. It's very, very happy, but it's a little bittersweet. We are now starting the 24th perek of Masechet Shabat, the last and final perek. What a great zchut. Abotai. Okay, on a Thursday, right before Shabbat, starting the last perek. Someone who's traveling on the way, it got dark for him. And he sees it's getting dark. So he gives his wallet to the guy. Okay? Now, we'll see why he could do that in the Gemara. He's using the guy to do a malacha for him. Gemara will ask that. If he doesn't have a guy, then, as a second choice, put it on your donkey. Let your donkey take it for you. That means if there's a guy there with you, don't place it on the donkey, give it to the guy. And then, when it's on the donkey now, in case you don't have a guy, once you get to the first courtyard of the city, which is a protected area, and now you can leave your things there, what you do is you take off the non-muktzah items off the donkey, and the ones that can't be moved on Shabbos, and you tied to the donkey, you untie the saddle, and the sacks will fall by themselves, and that way your donkey can go, and these will fine. You don't touch them. It says the Gemara, my time is showed Rabban on the base of Kisel Nachri. Why did the Chachamim allow him to give a Kisei L'Nachri? Rashi learns, even though it's Erev Shabbos, but you're asking him to carry it on Shabbat. So now he's doing malacha for you on Shabbat. How could you give your wallet? Yeah, it's turning dark. You say to the guy, John, hold this on Shabbat for me. So now he's doing your shlichut on Shabbat. That's the problem, according to Rashi. So the Gemara says, Kimlu Rabbanim, because the Chachamim understood man better than anyone. And they knew for a fact. A person will not be able to hold himself back from saving his money. Now, tzaddikim might be able to, but the average person won't. And if you don't allow him, he will end up carrying 4 amot in Rishut Harabim. He's not going to be, say, that's it. Giving up my wallet with my credit cards and my license and all my money inside. Just drop it, that's it. He's going to end up carrying it. So therefore, they didn't want that to malacha doraita, so they said, give it to the guy. That's only your wallet. Because you worked hard to gain all those things. But if you find something on the floor, you find some money, you can't tell the guy, oh, you hold that for me. Because that's an ister. That's too bad on you. Meaning, he won't end up carrying the $100 that he finds. Because if he sees $100 on the floor, since he didn't work to get it, he just found it, he'll be able to let it go for Shabbat. He'll be able to withstand his Yetzer Hara. Something that he worked for, his wallet, the money, the cash that he gained by working, and the credit cards and all that, whatever he has in there, his money that he worked for, it's going to be very hard for a person to let go of all that work. Of course, we know that that's what he should do, and that's what every person should aspire and strive to do. But Gemara is saying that they made a heter. So the Gemara says, but a mitzvah, guy won't carry, so you can't give it to the guy. So the Gemara says, Pshita, of course, kisutanan. It says, dafka kisai, his wallet, not anything else. You would have thought, even something that you find, the haidik tani kisui. The reason why it says kisui is just urcha de milsa nakat. Urcha de milsa katani. It just uses the more common case, kamash v'lon. So therefore, Rabbi told us, no, dafka kisui. Otherwise, you can't give it to the guy. That's only if you didn't actually pick up the $100 that you found. Or whatever you found. But once you already had it in your hand, kikise dummy, that's already comparable to your wallet that you worked for, and it's enough. Now you can give it to the guy. You have the heter. Ikadami, others say, no. Boy, Rava actually asked this as a question. If a person finds a mitzvah, but he actually picked it up, so the other once it's in his hand, so then we already say loy plug. I don't know if it's loy plug, but we already compare it to the wallet, and they already allowed anything that's on you. So it's kikise dummy. It's like your wallet. Like Dilmo, maybe keep it to like Torah, but since you didn't exert effort to earn this money, lav kikise dummy. It's not like your wallet, and it's usher to give it to the guy. You have to leave it there because we're not worried that you're going to carry it in Rishus Harabim. Teku, and the Rabbeinu Chananel says, since it's a teku, we have to go to Chumrah. Yeah. And therefore, we're going to have to say that the Mishnah talks about Dafka Kisui. Eini Moinochi, if there's no goy, then you put it on the chamar. Time of the Eini Moinochi, that's only if there's no goy. However, if there is a goy, you give it to the goy. My time. What's the reason why you give it to the goy? Meaning, why is a goy better than putting it on your donkey? The Gemara says, "Chamoyer ato mitzvah al shvisosei, nochi yato mitzvah al shvisosei." So the Gemara says, because the chamoyer, you're mechuyev to make sure it doesn't, like last week's parsha. Yeah, that's a different parsha actually. But it says that your animal, you have to make sure your animal doesn't work on Shabbat. But a goy, you don't have to make sure he doesn't work on Shabbat. Now, even though you're not allowed to make a goy work for you on Shabbat, but that's midrabanon. This is seemingly, it sounds like it's more like an assay of the Raita or loisase. So the Gemara says, what about if you have a donkey and you have also either a cheresh, a deaf, or a shaita, or a kata next to you? Who do you give it to? So the Gemara says, achamar monach, they put it on the chamar. My time, hani odom haylav odom. Because you're going to mix up the cheresh v'kata next time you give it to a regular person, because a person and a person are interchangeable. But a donkey, you won't remember next time. Oh, I gave it to the donkey, so I could give it to a guy next time. So it's a little bit interesting, right? Because the chamoy, the cheresh the katan, you're not mechuyev for their shvisa. They're potter. And the chamoy, you are mechuyev for the shvisa. So why do you put it on the chamoy? That's a chiyuv d'oraita. And so why? Because the person's, you're going to interchange. You're going to mix up the person next time with another person, with a guy. And you give it to the guy next time. If you have a guy next to you, you just give it to you give it to no, not to a guy. You'll give it to a guy you could give it to. You'll give it to a yid. You say, oh, I gave it to my son last time. I'll give it to a Jew this time. The rabbi told me I give it to my son. 1 second. What type of person are we going to give it to next time? Not to another yid. Why is that yid better than you? You're not going to give it to another yid. Just like you don't want to carry it, you know that he can't carry it either. So who are you going to get? Who are you going to give it to? Maybe people that will be watching will be seeing that a person is carrying a kisei, a wallet, so maybe they will carry their own wallet. I'm not sure what it means over here. I'll tell you the truth. I have to look into Mefarshim. I only have a regular, the best. I have the real Gemara, but I don't know Pshat over here exactly. It's some sort of problem that, okay. So the Gemara says, very nice, says the Gemara. Okay, so we got it, Rabbi say? So first is the Nachri, then the Chamoyer, then the person. The few little loose ends we have here. What about Cheresh v'shaita l'shaita? Because he's lower on the level of dast. He looks less like a regular person than a cheresh. Because he's totally a tippish. He's a shaita. He's a fool. He's totally crazy. So give it to the shaita. Shaita the katan. You have a shaita and a child. No, a cheresh has some sort of das. We'll see in a second. Maybe a drop, maybe somewhat, but a cotton doesn't have it all. So what about a shaita and a cotton? So it says, l'shaita. You give that to the shaita. Because he is mamish, is less das than the cotton. And the cotton is going to be, looks like a kid with das, just he doesn't have enough das because he's not 13. The shaila is now, you have a deaf person next to you and a cotton. Who do you give it to? Who's lower on the ladder, on the rungs? According to Rabbi Eliezer, the answer is Pashut. Because Rabbi Yitzchak said in his name, Trumas Cheresh, or Rabbi Lazar, it says. No, I think it's Rabbi Eliezer. Different guesses. Trumas Cheresh, if a Cheresh takes off Truma, don't disregard it and say, it's not Truma, it's regular, mundane fruits, it's a joke. No. Take Truma off again, because maybe it wasn't Truma. But this is a suffix Truma. Deal with this produce, as if it's Truma, because it's not so clear if a Cheresh has clear enough mind, lucidity, to do it. And maybe he has das. So therefore, according to Rabbi Yitzchak, in the name of Rabbi Eliezer, for sure you should give it to the katan, because the katan doesn't have any mitzvahs, but a cheresh is a suffix if he's chayav in mitzvahs. As we see that his truma is a suffix. So you give it to the katan is the lowest. So this shaita is really lowest, then katan, then cheresh is the highest. According to who do we have the shaila? Leave the Rabbanon. According to the Rabbanon, because we learned to the Mishnah, the first Mishnah in Trumos. 5 people should not take off Truma. And if they did, and Trumas on Truma, it doesn't work. Eluhain, these are them. Cheresh to the Katan, Vatemis, Shena, Shel, Levin, Nachish, Termes, Israel, or Cheresh to the Katan. And someone that takes off Truma for his friend without asking, and a guy that took off for a Yid, even with Afilu B'Shusa, even if he appointed him. Ain't Trumas or Truma. So, according to the Rabbanon, and Cheresh was one of these 5. So you see, according to the Rabbanon, that Cheresh does not have das at all. And he's not mechuyev in any mitzvahs. That's why his Truma, it doesn't work. So according to him, now we have a good shaila. If you have a cheresh and a katan, they're both not mechuyev mitzvahs at all. So which one is lower and less interchangeable or less? I think that's the shaila. So therefore, the katan asir l'chal das. You give it to the cheresh because the katan one day will be a gadol and he'll have das. I don't know the katan yoyev the cheresh asir l'chlifu begadol. On the other hand, give it to the kid because the kid looks young. He looks like a kid. If you give it to the cheresh, he looks like an adult. People will see you gave it to an adult. They'll think it's mutter to give it to any adult. They'll exchange him with a gadol pikech. So the Gemara says, "Ikadami the cheresh yoyvli, ikadami the katan yoyvli." There were 2 different opinions. Some said cheresh, some said katan. Okay, not clear. Now the Gemara wants to know, Ain't Sham Le'Nachri V'Leichamer V'Leicheresh V'Leishoyt V'Leikoton. This sounds like Hataras and Durham, right? Ain't Kad Le'Neder V'Leishua V'Leishamta V'Leiora V'Leinidi, right? So the Gemara says, if there's no Goy, no Chamer, no Cheresh, no Shoyta, no Kota. Mai. What's that? There's another eitzah. There's another secret. There's another takana that Chacham made that you can do. But they didn't want to say it. They didn't want to write it in the Mishnah. When all else fails, you have a way out. You know why they didn't want to say it in the Mishnah? Mishum kvoid elikim haste davar uchvoid belochim chakar davar. For the honor of a Hashem, you're allowed to conceal words of Torah. For the honor of heaven, we'll explain in a second. But for the honor of kings, search it out, research. Don't hide anything. For the wealth of man. Okay? What honor of Hashem is there? Oh, by the way, I skipped. The trick is, the eitzah is, you walk with it, they let you walk less than 4 amos. Because I think only in this situation, because it's your money and you were there before Shabbos and you got stuck and you're not going to listen. So therefore they let you go for, but they didn't want to tell it to you. Because if they told it to you, it wouldn't be honoring heaven, because people would use this eitzah all the time and it would end up failing. They wouldn't do it properly because they would end up going 3 amas and then it would turn to 4 amas. They didn't want to say it, but it exists and it's there. And that's what you should do, the Gemara says. But it wasn't written in the Mishnah to know that it's not lichatchil, it's not the best. Okay? It's not so good. Tanya, Rabbi Lezer Omer, Bebe Yom Gochusa, Rabbi Shua Omer, Bebe Yom Machkusa. On the day that they made 18 gzeirus, we learned about them in the first parak, they made a gzeira that you should not carry less than 4 amas if there's a guy around. So Rabbi Eliezer says that was great. They filled up the cup, gedusha, like a heaping pile. That was an amazing gzeira they made. That if there's a guy around, don't walk less than 4 amas from Rosh Hashanah. It's also to walk. They made a gzeira. Only if there's no guy around, you could do that. Right? Why? What's so good about that? Because they wanted to make a fence. Laharbes Gedav Yisrael, it's Gevaldik. They heaped it on. Excellent. Rabbi Yeshua said, not so great. On that day, the day that they appointed Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, right? That was the day that they made the 18 Gzeirus, right? Was it? No, but they went up to the attic of Chananya, right? The Gemara says they went up to the attic of yeah. 1 second. The Elumin Aloch and Shama Be'aliyas Chananya ben Chizkiya ben Gorin Sha'olu Levakri. Nimdu v'Rabba B'Sham B'Yisrael V'Yut Chazram in the attic of Chananya ben Chizkiya. Okay. So on that day, Rabbi Yeshua says it wasn't so great. They actually were it's actually like shaven off. It's a little bit like skimmed off because they went too far. They made too many gzeirus. Rabbi Yeshua didn't like it. They should have left a little room. And then what they did is they heaped it on too high. So when you heap something on too high, it's going to fall out. So what do? You take this like level thing and you go, and now you end up with less than if you would have just done it nicely, a small heap. So that's the main point that Rashi is saying. Why? Because there are guys of things that people will not be able to keep, and then they'll be able, and then people will be over on the words of Torah. Tanya Moshe Rabbi Elazar Lamar David Demel Kupa Malaya Kishum V'Delun Adam Nois L'Stich Echad V'Yimachzekes. Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Elazar held that it was compared to a basket filled with gourds and cucumbers. So if you put in mustard seeds, there's enough room for them because they'll fall within the cracks. They're so small between the different gourds and cucumbers. So Rabbi Elazar is saying, they added another gzeira. There's room for it. People can deal with it. It's fine. Mashal Rabbi Yeshua. The Ma'adav Daime. 1 second. There's a red ant that was just crawling on me, so I had to get it off. Sorry. But the Mashal Rabbi Yeshua is Daime to what? It's filled with honey. And then you put in pomegranates and walnuts. Vihimekia. So what's it going to do? It's going to, I know the sun's coming in now. It's going to overflow the honey is going to spill out. So what they did is like this. They made a gzeira that you're not allowed to walk for less than 4 amas, right? They're nervous. You're going to end up walking more than 4 amas. So he said, listen, if you have a guy next to you, give him your wallet. Sorry, what do you mean? Can I just not be over the malach of carrying? How so? I won't walk 4 amas in Rishut Rabim. I walk 3. No. We're making a gzera. You can't do that. What should I do? Give it to the guy. Says Rabbi Yeshua. What happens if he doesn't trust the guy? And we know the Gemara says that person is not going to leave his wallet there. He'll end up just walking Rishut Rabim with it straight. So you should have told him, listen, you can always walk with it. Don't make it gzera. As long as you walk less than 4 amot in Rishut Rabim, you're fine. There's no Isser D'Oraita, and we're not making a gzera on it. But by being so strict with him, you're throwing in more things into the honey, more gzerot. Boom, big pomegranate. So now you lost some of the honey. Get it? Givaldik. Okay, says the Gemara. If you don't have a go, you put it on the chamor. How could you put it on the chamor? Anybody who leads a chamor, which is laden with packages, is called mechamer. The Torah says, "Loisasta kamalacha." Ato vehemtecha. You and your animal. What is that? That is when you and your animal do something together, which is your animal holds the package and you make it go. So how could you put it? How could you be over on this? It's a d'oraisa. Omar Rav Adam Rahava minichol kashihim aleches. You put it on top of it while it's walking. So now it's not doing a malacha. Why? Because it already did the akira. What's the malacha of mechamer? That it's going to be carrying through you. Right? You put the package on, and then the donkey does the akira and the hanacha. So therefore, you help the donkey do the akira and hanacha. But here, the akira already was okay. It's walking, like we already said. On Tav Gimel Amud Aleph, if you put things on your friend's shoulders, food, while he's walking, he already made the akira. You're not chayav achatas. It's the rabbanon. So here, it's not going to be the malacha at all because it says leisasa malacha. It's not a malacha. So it will be 100% mutter to do it over here. Mamish mutter. So the Gemara says, "Vayef shadolei kaima lahashtin mayim lahat glolim v'ika akira v'anoch k'shim aleches." Gemara says, what happens when it stops to urinate or defecate? And then it will start again. Now, who put that package on? You did. So now it's going to start a new akira and anacha. So the Gemara says, "Menicha l'kshu medis, noit lehemena," which means when he stops, when it's walking, you put it on top. When it stops, take it off. Now it starts to walk 1 foot, put it back on. So the Gemara says, so then why can I do that with my friend? So the Gemara says, do you hear a noise in the background? No, it's fine? Because someone's spilling water on the other side, okay. The Gemara says, meaning, if this is not a malacha d'oraisa, why can't I just place it on my friend's shoulders while he's walking? Since the only issue is going to be an issue d'Rabbanan, and the Chachamim allow me to be over on an issue d'Rabbanan when in this situation, because otherwise I'll be over on an issue d'oraisa because people are too lenient and won't be able to be maimed themselves, withstand the Yetzer Hara of carrying in the Reshut Rabim. So the Gemara answers, Amar Apava Kol Shebegufei Chayev Chatas B'Chaveri Potter. I will also. Anything with you yourself that's Chayav Chatat, with your friend, it's Isser de Banan. Okay? Let's say you walk 4 amot in Reshut Rabim, and you scoop something up while you're walking. You scoop up the thing. You have an akira, and you have anocha. So if you do that with your friend, then and you oiker the item and put it on your friend, that will be an Isser D'Rabbanan. Because it will be like Shnayim She'asu, and it's also D'Rabbanan. So that will be a problem to do it with your friend, because at least it will be an Isser D'Rabbanan. But using your donkey is better. Why? Because a donkey is mutter entirely. Because anything that your friend is asur, b'chamoyer mutter l'chatchila, once it's not a melacha, it would only be with a human being, it would only be Isser D'Rabbanan, and the Chachamim never made an Isser D'Rabbanan from Mechamer. There's only the Doraita of Mechamer, and that's all. I think we're going to stop here because there's a lot of noise and I'm starting to sweat. And we're well down the Amid, so we'll stop here for today. B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Yom Tov, Yeshua Koyach. Kol Tov, bye-bye.